A virus is made up of a nucleic acid that can be DNA or RNA. The nucleic acid is like an instruction book that contains all the information necessary to create new viruses. In addition, viruses have a coat of proteins that are like the shell that protect the nucleic acid. However, there are other viruses that have an outer membrane that covers them and that have proteins on their surface in the form of spines. So viruses are. They are very small, they do not have their own metabolism, they are simple. So coronavirus is an RNA virus, it is a zoonotic virus. That RNA contains all the information necessary for the making of viral components. The RNA is coated with structural proteins by forming a complex known as nucleocapsid. This complex is enclosed basically with a lipid membrane with embedded proteins.
In December 2019, SARS-CoV-2 began to spread in a market in the city of Wuhan, China, where different wild animals were sold. It has a high reproduction number and studies suggested that the primary receiver is bats. The new virus is spread person to person, mainly by air, and there is a possibility of asymptomatic transmission. But don't worry, there are many things you can do. First of all, wash your hands constantly. Secondly, avoid touching your face. And finally, wear a mask. What else can you do? Disinfect. Clean your work surfaces such as desks, conference table, lunch areas using spray or disinfectant wipes. As many of us know, the main social measurement is quarantine. This means that we have to avoid crowds, postpone any trips, and avoid being near people that have been infected with the virus. The virus attaches itself to the receptor proteins of the cell surface membrane and penetration takes place. Inside the cell, the RNA transcribes to adenine with the help of the protein called reverse transcriptase, so that the process of transcriptation can take place. After that, assembly happens. This means that the protein of the capsid surrounds the nucleic acid, RNA, and the reverse transcriptase. Finally, the virus leaves the cell by exocytosis. These are the most common and less common symptoms. Populations with extra risk, like elder people and people with some medical problems, are at higher risk of developing serious illness. However, anyone can catch COVID-19 and become seriously ill, so if you have any of these symptoms, you should seek for medical attention immediately.
Herd immunity is also known as population immunity. It is a concept used for vaccination in which a population can be protected from a certain virus if a threshold of vaccination is reached. Herd immunity is achieved by protecting people from a virus, not by exposing them to it. Vaccines train our immune system to create proteins that fight disease, known as antibodies. With herd immunity, the vast majority of a population are vaccinated, lowering the overall amount of a virus able to spread in the whole population. The percentage of people who need to have antibodies in order to achieve herd immunity against a particular disease varies with each disease. For example, herd immunity against measles requires about 95% of a population to be vaccinated. The remaining 5% will be protected by the fact that measles will not spread among those who are vaccinated. Achieving herd immunity with safe and effective vaccines make disease rare and save lives. Since the development of the first vaccine more than 2,000 years ago, vaccination has really decreased the burden of infectious disease worldwide. This pandemic has made it brutally clear that vaccines don't just prevent infectious disease and save lives, they are also essential in helping to maintain global security and economic stability. So, the aim of vaccination is to obtain the immunity. When we vaccinate, we activate the immune system memory. Therefore, we need a vaccine to prevent the coronavirus from spreading further and for the population to become immune.
How are antibodies different from vaccines? One difference between antibodies and vaccines is the way they are supplied to the person. In traditional research, vaccines are given to people to study how their bodies respond to the vaccine components, RNA, a specific protein, an attenuated pathogen, etc., developing antibodies against these components. In antibody studies, people are directly given the antibodies. This is done by the use of intravenous infusions, commonly known as getting an IV with shots into the skin or infusions under the skin. Another difference is that antibodies produced naturally by the body as a response to the vaccine can last for a long time. On the other hand, laboratory-made antibodies usually only last for a few months, thus requiring people to get multiple infusions or injections on a regular schedule. Most people who are infected with COVID-19 develop an immune response within the first few weeks after infection. Research is still ongoing into how strong that protection is and how long it lasts. WHO is also looking into whether the strength and length of immune response depends on the type of infection a person has, without symptoms, asymptomatic, mild, or severe. Even people without symptoms seem to develop an immune response. Globally, data from seroprevalence studies suggest that less than 10% of those studied have been infected, meaning that the vast majority of the world's population remains susceptible to the virus.
There are more than 130 vaccine projects against COVID-19. 48 are testing in humans, and 9 of those are in the last stage, stage number 3. We are going to talk about 3 of them. Moderna is currently in stage 3, and 11,879 participants have received their second vaccination. Once the studies are finished and it has been proven safe, Moderna could produce 100 million vaccines, but the first ones have already been bought by the United States. This vaccine is basically based on RNA. That is, it requires injecting a small segment of the genetic code of the virus, which scientists managed to create in the laboratory, and it is expected that it elicits a response from the immune system to fight the infection. Oxford will add 2,000 million doses. Trial centers across the U.S. are recruiting up to 30,000 adults from diverse ethnic and geographic groups who are healthy or are stable underlying conditions, including those living with HIV and who are at an increased risk of infecting from SARS-CoV-2 virus. Participants are being randomized to receive 2 doses of either potential vaccine or saline control, 4 weeks apart, with twice as many participants receiving the potential vaccine than the saline control. One of the vaccines uses as a vector a non-replicating version of an adenovirus, the virus that causes the common cold. This vector carries the gene for the coronavirus surface protein, which is used to provoke the immune system to respond to fight the infection. Another vaccine consists of using the inactivated virus. This is the type of inactivated vaccine requires producing viruses particles in reactors and then purifying those so that they can lose their ability to become ill. A vaccine would normally take years to develop. Researchers hope to achieve the same amount of work in only a few months. Most experts think that the vaccine is likely to become widely available by mid-2021. That would be a huge scientific feat, and although there are no guarantees it will work, scientists are optimistic.
Among the possible side effects as something goes wrong with the vaccine are the most common that could be pain, swelling, or redness where the shot was given, mild fever, chills, feeling tired, headache, muscle and joint aches. On the other hand, the most severe such as serious eye infection or loss of vision due to spread of vaccine virus to the eye, rash on the entire body, as many as 1 per 4,000 people, severe rash on people with eczema, encephalitis, severe brain reaction which can lead to permanent brain damage, as many as 1 per 83,000 people, severe infection beginning at the vaccination site, mostly in people with weakened immune systems, or even death, but mostly in people with weakened immune systems. Side effects from vaccines are extremely rare. For example, if 1 million doses of a vaccine are given, 1 to 2 people may have a severe allergic reaction. Some vaccines are associated with fever, rash, or itchiness. When you or a child gets a vaccine, the health care provider gives you a handout known as the Vaccine Information Statement. The VIS describes common and rare side effects. If any are known of the vaccine, your health care provider will probably discuss possible side effects with you. The virus can be transmitted by saliva droplets when talking, coughing, or sneezing. The use of masks can prevent this transmission by decreasing the chances of these air droplets getting from an infected person to a healthy person. Wearing masks is not only beneficial for the person who wears it, but also for all the people who are close to that person. Besides, with the use of masks, if a person is infected from another person, both using masks, the viral load is lower and there are more chances to get an asymptomatic illness, leading to a fewer number of people going to hospitals. According to the effectiveness of different types of masks, in general, there are mainly 2 of them which are more accessible to people because of the facility to make them and the lower prices. These are the surgical mask and the 2-layer cotton masks. There is an article by Fisher et al., which compares how masks from different materials prevent or not the transmission of water droplets, simulating saliva droplets through them. In general, the surgical ones are more effective than the cotton or cloth ones in preventing the air droplets arriving to another person.